Here's a quote: "If we're going to make a move, we should make a move," said one high-ranking team official, speaking anonymously to protect existing relationships. If not, we need some leadership. And the leadership is the real problem, guys. That's the real problem.
That anonymous official just revealed what everyone was thinking but wouldn't say. Either the league makes a leadership move or somebody needs to start.
Times. Here it says the WNBA's business is thriving, so why can't Kathy Engelbert escape criticism? Here it says Kathy was at the center court inside Barclays Center when the Liberty beat the Aces in a mid-season tournament. After her job title, she took the mic to congratulate the team and was drowned out almost entirely. Okay, she was getting the hell booed out of her.
This is the central issue surrounding the entire situation. The WNBA's first half became so chaotic that the NBA commissioner may feel compelled to take a more active role. However, we need to separate documented facts from interpretation. There has been no official announcement stating that Adam Silver has taken control of the WNBA. Kathy Engelbert remains the commissioner. A stronger supportable point is that Silver has publicly acknowledged his involvement behind the scenes, and reports have linked him to important league matters. That distinction matters because the story is not about claiming a takeover has already happened. It is about asking why Silver's presence appears to be increasing at the exact moment confidence in Engelbert's leadership seems to be declining. The league entered this season with tremendous momentum and an opportunity that most professional sports organizations spend decades trying to achieve. Caitlin Clark's arrival brought new viewers, larger crowds, national attention, and people who had barely watched the WNBA suddenly discussing games every week. That opportunity also created pressure. Every officiating controversy became national news. Every hard foul turned into a debate. Every questionable public statement reached far beyond the WNBA's usual audience. The lead didn't just become bigger, it became more exposed. And once that happened, the standard for leadership changed immediately.
The Engelbert clearly cannot handle the job, and I believe that this is the time Adam Silver is about to step in. The signs have been pointing that way. He clearly inserted himself on the Caitlin Clark, Alyssa Thomas thing, which tells you the commissioner doesn't have a real pulse on it. And the lack of professionalism that has been shown on the court and off the court throughout the first half of the WNBA season can't really continue through the second half, and it permeated all the way.
This is where the criticism becomes far more complicated than a commissioner simply being booed. Caitlin Clark's season has been marked by injury uncertainty, inconsistent availability, and ongoing questions about how her minutes and health were communicated. Not all of that falls directly on the league office. Team medical decisions, coaching choices, and player availability are primarily managed by the Indiana Fever. Still, the confusion contributes to a much larger perception problem. Fans watching the league's biggest attraction want clear information, consistent rules, and confidence that everyone involved understands the stakes. When updates seem vague or decisions appear inconsistent, people begin filling the information gap with their own theories. That becomes dangerous for a young league trying to turn new attention into long-term loyalty. The WNBA cannot control every injury, every argument, or every disappointing game. It can control how professionally it communicates, how consistently it disciplines dangerous play, and how quickly it responds when controversy starts overshadowing the basketball. The first half of the season often felt like the game itself was struggling to be heard over everything happening around it. That may be entertaining on social media in the moment, but it is not automatically good for the business. Controversy may attract clicks, trust keeps viewers.
Right into things. So, we all know the first half of the WNBA season, obviously for Caitlin Clark fans, was riddled with, back injury and, just non-clarity on her day-to-day, game-to-game situation. 1 minute she's playing normal, the next minute she's on a minutes restriction. The minutes restriction never comes off. Then she's off. The
NBA Replay Center is one example of the league working to bring greater consistency and credibility to officiating. That does not mean every controversial call will suddenly disappear. NBA fans still debate referee decisions every night despite having a replay center and significantly greater resources. What it does show is that WNBA leadership understands the current system requires stronger infrastructure. And that infrastructure is the real issue beneath all the drama. The WNBA is no longer operating in a smaller media environment where mistakes fade away after a single news cycle. Clips are examined frame by frame. Players respond directly on social media. Former athletes, national broadcasters, independent creators, and millions of fans all influence the narrative before the league even releases a statement. That demands a commissioner who can do more than negotiate business deals. It requires someone who can project authority, anticipate reputational challenges, and keep the league looking organized during moments of conflict. Engelbert supporters can reasonably argue that she helped position the WNBA for significant commercial growth. Before joining the league, her resume was built on high-level business leadership, and the WNBA has grown substantially during her tenure. However, success in one stage does not automatically guarantee success in the next. The executive who helps bring in investment is not always the same executive who can navigate a volatile cultural explosion. The skills are related, but they are not identical.
I don't think that this league can continue this way. It needs to actually perform like a professional business, which is why Adam Silver has already inserted himself. He's already stepped in on the Kathy Engelbert, Caitlin Clark situation, and that was just the beginning. He's gonna be full-fledged monitoring things. You see, they have the NBA replay center coming.
That headline perfectly captures the contradiction. The WNBA's business is thriving, yet its commissioner continues to face criticism. Those two realities can't exist at the same time. Revenue growth does not automatically prove that every leadership decision has been effective. It can also suggest the product has become strong enough to grow despite unresolved weaknesses. Caitlin Clark is not single-handedly responsible for every positive development in the WNBA. The league already had talented stars, loyal fans, and improving business indicators before she arrived. However, denying the magnitude of her impact would be just as unreasonable. Her presence accelerated the timeline. Games shifted into larger arenas. Broadcast interest grew. Merchandise demand skyrocketed. Conversations that once remained within women's basketball circles became mainstream sports discussions. That is why the stakes are so significant. The WNBA has been given a rare opportunity to turn a moment of attention into a lasting audience. But growth can temporarily conceal structural problems. New viewers may accept confusion while everything still feels new. They will not accept it indefinitely. Eventually, the league must demonstrate that it can protect the quality of its product, communicate clearly, and establish standards that are understood by players, teams, and fans. The concern surrounding Engelbert is not that the league has failed to grow. It is that the leadership may not be adapting quickly enough to manage it.
Because it's saying, yeah, Kathy has brought some level, the business is thriving, but why can't she escape criticism? For one, the business we all know is only thriving because of the arrival of Caitlin Clark, but this business won't continue to thrive.
That passage stands out as one of the most revealing parts of the reporting. According to the article being discussed, people around the league were willing to share their frustrations privately but hesitated to attach their names publicly even when anonymity was offered. That does not prove every criticism is accurate. Anonymous sources should always be treated with caution. People may have personal agendas, incomplete information, or disagreements that have little to do with overall performance. However, widespread reluctance to speak can still reveal something about the environment. It suggests relationships are sensitive, lines of authority may be unclear, and people do not feel comfortable openly discussing Engelbert's job security. In a healthy organization, internal disagreement is completely normal. What becomes concerning is when no one seems certain who has the authority to resolve it. That brings us to the leadership vacuum. A commissioner does not need every player to like her. She does need stakeholders to understand the chain of command. When a disciplinary controversy erupts, who has the final say? When collective bargaining becomes contentious, who sets the strategy? When player criticism becomes public, who responds before the issue grows? If the answer increasingly becomes Adam Silver, then the title of WNBA commissioner begins to appear weaker, even if Engelbert technically remains in charge, and perception matters. Once players and team executives believe the real authority lies somewhere else, they naturally begin directing their attention toward that authority instead.
There's seemingly no shortage of players other than team employees willing to complain publicly about day-to-day decision-making within the league. Engelbert's overall job security remains too hot for most to handle. While The Athletic spoke to a dozen sources around the league for this story, all almost refused to comment for publication, even anonymously. What they did do is provide a holistic view of the situation at Engelbert and the WNBA.
This is the structural detail that deserves far more attention than the bullying itself. Adam Silver appointed Engelbert in 2019, and reporting has questioned exactly where her accountability lies because the WNBA's Board of Governors reportedly had limited involvement in that appointment. That arrangement may have worked when the league faced less public scrutiny. Now, it raises a much more difficult question. Does Engelbert independently lead the WNBA? Or does she ultimately answer to Silver whenever the biggest situations become too significant? There is nothing inherently unusual about the NBA having influence. The two leagues are closely connected, and the NBA maintains financial, institutional, and operational relationships with the WNBA. Silver would naturally be invested in its success. The concern begins when his involvement appears less like cooperation and more like emergency oversight. That is the difference between a parent organization supporting its leadership and a parent organization quietly losing confidence in it. The public does not have enough verified information to conclude which scenario is actually unfolding. What we can observe is a pattern of Silver becoming linked to increasingly important issues. Collective bargaining is one example. Discipline is another. Officiating infrastructure is another. Taken together, those are not minor responsibilities. They affect labor relations, player safety, competitive integrity, and the league's public image. Those are the fundamental responsibilities of a commissioner.
Adam Silver appointed Engelbert in 2019, giving her commissioner title no previous WNBA permanent leader had possessed. It was a testament to her CV, highlighted by a stint as the CEO of Deloitte, a multinational business consulting firm. Okay. It says, but the WNBA's board of governors lack involvement regarding Engelbert's hiring has led to question who exactly she reports to. Throughout her tenure, there have been moments that point to Silver's.
This part of the commentary argues that the league needs leadership that puts business first, especially now that Caitlin Clark has become a global attraction. That business first argument is understandable, but it should be defined carefully. Putting business first does not mean favoring one player in every dispute or turning the league into a promotional platform for a single star. Competitive credibility still matters. Other players deserve respect. Teams need confidence that the rules are enforced consistently, regardless of popularity. At the same time, business leadership requires recognizing reality. Every major sports league embraces its biggest stars. The NBA built different eras around Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, then Michael Jordan, followed by Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Stephen Curry, and others. The league did not guarantee them championships or eliminate physical defense. It simply recognized that stars serve as the gateway to the product. The WNBA must protect that gateway without compromising competitive integrity. That means dangerous or reckless contact should be disciplined consistently, not based on social media pressure. Medical communication must be clear. Scheduling and broadcast strategies should make it easier for new fans to follow the league's most compelling teams. Marketing should introduce viewers to the broader league instead of acting embarrassed that one player brought them to the door. Art's popularity can lead fans to Aja Wilson, Nafisa Collier, Breonna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, Paige Buchers, and many others. But that transition only happens if the league gives viewers basketball worth coming back for. That is the real leadership challenge. Do not resist the star, use the star to strengthen the entire ecosystem.